Okay. Um, I wrote it down. This is. I wanted to go over those three things again. I found it. I wanted to go over those three things again that were, I think, the point of the movie, or I don't know, they really stood out. It's something about. By the way, I started going through the comic book again, and I see some of the criticism. Uh, just by, but my personal opinion is that every time I look at these new Superman, Supergirl movies, they kind of, to me, they look a bit Criterion. I mean, there's something about the cinematography. There's a tone. It's really well done. Uh, I kind of felt that way about that new Batman movie. Almost. There's something there's something a little bit off about the new Batman movie where it's all on the Riddler. There's something off about the Riddler for me personally, but the rest of the movie looks Criterion, and it's amazing. I wish I wish they changed that. It's just too dark. The Black Mask. If he had, then it goes to the coffee shop, and you're like, why wasn't he in the movie? He's wearing a green suit or something. But this is about Supergirl. I think these new movies are awesome. Uh, okay, the first point was near the end. I'm not. This is extra. Near the end of the movie, she says something to. I'm trying to remember her name. Hold on, I gotta look it up. To Ruthie. Okay, she says something to Ruthie at the very end to say, "Would you like to come along, go on some adventures?" And Ruthie says, "No, no, thank you. I miss my parents. I want to go." Wow, this that's her whole story. She says, "No, I miss my parents. I'd like to go back to the farm." And then Supergirl, seeing it now, I guess she takes the place of Superman and says, "There's a lot of fun stuff happening in Metropolis. I'd think you'd enjoy it." And then she brightens a bit and says, "Okay, I guess I'll join you." But somewhere in between there, when she says, "Would you like to come along and go on some more adventures?" Crypto, she says, "Come on, Crypto," and Crypto doesn't. Crypto does not run to the ship. He says, if there's a farm involved, I'd rather do that. Thank you. And she almost lost her dog. And I thought that was amazing. So they're at the very, oh man, I missed one. At the very end, she decides to skip the farm and hit Metropolis. Thinking of it now, what is that? Hold on, I'm gonna fix these screenshots. There's something going on where image slideshow. All right, even if you delete one, it reserves a space. So okay, so there's something in there about Supergirl taking the place of Clark Kent. I need to see the movie over again, probably. There's something there about her rejecting the idea of sitting alone on a farm. Because it's basically Kara missing her destroyed home. It's deciding to move on, I guess. So, in deciding to move on, in this scenario, a Superman showed up. To say there's something better to do. Which is what happened in the story. Okay, that's something that we're thinking about. The coat. I'm trying to understand what the movie was saying. So, in this story, she's not wearing the super clothes. She's wearing blue jeans and a brown duster coat. And I said it last time, it's basically, well, the story has it so that she's celebrating her 23rd birthday. But in doing that, her life choices are to sit among the people who are comfy with the problems going on in Ruthie's life. She's sitting around a bunch of brigands and drunks, and they wouldn't mind robbing and killing her family. And they steal her family sword right in front of her. And that's where Kara draws the line. So the brown coat, I know is just like, there's an aspect to it for theater goers that Superman has his glasses in that suit. He puts on a suit and glasses and he goes to work at the newspaper. And I think Kara does the same thing, but you don't really think about it. She's a different character completely. I don't think of a Lois. I haven't read too many Supergirl books. I've just watched the show, but yeah, when I think of this character, I think of her, or I think of the future adventures, or I think of the alternate universe version. Where she becomes Power Girl, and that's a different idea. But thinking of this character, what's happened is her home has been destroyed. Okay, this is the third point. Her home has been destroyed. And she's moping about it. She's sad over it. She hasn't joined Superman. She keeps running away on her spaceship to go have adventures in other places. When her only family that's left is on Earth. So there's something else that's kind of weird. She's got family. She has family, and she isn't interested in hanging out with them. She doesn't want to. I guess the idea is get to know the new family. She's mourning the death of her parents, but even then, the story hasn't caught up. They said that city was saved, but she probably doesn't know that. So she's upset about the death of everyone. It's a giant loss. It's one of those 9/11 type things. And she had family that died in it. And she's taking a while to get over it. I'm trying not to cover what I said last time. even though it helps the talk in circles. Um, what's interesting about the character is that for comic book nerds, they know that eventually she rejects all of it. There's the idea of Earth and Metropolis and all these space adventures, and it's not enough. This character ends up rejecting all of it and taking an invitation to jump to the future. It was the last animated movie she had. It gets even worse. She the idea of that character, it what they did with it, with her story, was they made it oddly romantic. Her whole life becomes oddly romantic. I don't even want to go over it because I don't know. I don't think it's gonna help. But in this story, she takes on this the attitude of basically bad life choices, and she walks into a character that sort of embodies that of where she's headed, which is Lobo. I thought that was really clever. He's this clone that is taking a full pendulum swing. Lobo will help Ruthie and almost kill her at the same time. At the end of this, he blows up the ship and he doesn't care if she survives. It's a completely different kind of attitude. And I think she was headed in that direction because she is different. She's willing to stab someone. Um. So what is it saying? She sheds the coat, which is a type of poison. She's poisoned. I went over this last time. Try not to say it again. She's she got her dog got poisoned, which made it personal. The character then had a timetable to deal with, and then she gets poisoned, and then they dump her off on a poison planet. And how does she get out of it? The sun had to come out. Saved by the red sun again. That seems to be where both Superman stories go. He gets poisoned by kryptonite, and then you have to drag him outside. So she takes off the coat and becomes Supergirl. She sheds the poison of that lifestyle. So what does it mean? I think there's something wrapped up at the end. Because it happens more than once in the movie too. I'm sort of torn if I should be broadcasting this on Twitch. Building up the Twitch channel. Um, there's is Ruthie was after revenge. So that means if she finds herself connecting with Ruthie and needing to be around Ruthie and be more like Ruthie, that means that somewhere in Kara she felt the need for revenge for what happened to her parents. This is probably why she didn't want to hang around Superman too much, because she was actually becoming a type of vengeance character. That totally makes sense. Hmm. For her birthday, she wants to get drunk and wasted around brigands. For her birthday, she wants not a birthday cake, and I don't know, something fun. She went to a concert, but she wants to get drunk and pass out around a bunch of brigands. When people drink, they want to forget. Is usually what happens. So this character, for her birthday, wants to sit. She flew across the galaxy to an outpost where she could hurt. I don't think he covers it too much in the comic, but part of the reason why she's out there at that outpost is because the alcohol will affect her better. She's less super. She's making choices where she could actually get beat up and hurt and cut. She wants to go out there and actually feel the effects of the booze and get hungover and hurt. She wants to I don't know. So So at one point, she wants to forget the destruction of her family. She's lost family. She doesn't want to hang out with the new family. Superman's a little more adjusted because he doesn't remember his home. He remembers the farm, and he cares about the farm a lot. He will go back to that farm over and over again. Is also basically, I rarely think about it, but the destruction of a species. She may be sitting in a type of I can't have a family anymore. That's why they got sent to Earth. That makes sense now. If the rest of the everything looks like this, there's even something wrong with the brigands. Ruthie looks normal, but everyone else in the story, no. The bar owners, they look normal. No wonder they got sent to Earth. You either have Earth with a metropolis on it, or they send her out to a planet like this with the brigands and whatnot, spaceships and brigands. So basically, Earth looks like a type of normal. So she rejects normal and wants a fantasy. It might be a type of I'm from outer space. Let's go see what that is. And it's just sad. It's a it's I don't know, but she's become comfortable in it. She's like, this is the popcorn maker. It makes the best meat popcorn. I really like that moment in the movie. I think that was on her ship where where you could it looked like right before you go into the movie where you get all your snacks. That would be a nightmare if there was a giant bug just messing up all the popcorn. I just discovered at the local theater that I go to that after you get your popcorn, it's the last few times that I've gotten it, I've picked small bag. And it's a giant. The small bag is the bag that you get for microwave popcorn. It's the same kind of size, and from there you get a bucket. It's you just work your way up to a giant bucket, and I can't do it. And I just realized that you see it when you go in. They scoop, and then she turned around last time, and there's a butter machine, and she put half butter, and then she went back and scooped the rest of the popcorn, shook the bag, and then more butter on top. And somehow it turned out there were it just regular flavored buttered popcorn. It turned out regular somehow, but it was movie theater butter. But I couldn't tell there was any butter on it. And the last two times I went, I noticed that when you first walk in, there's a whole station on the opposite side of the snacks where people can just walk up and dump butter on their popcorn. There's two charging stations with look like funnel noses where you could just stand there and just dump butter for free. They have salt and butter. And then a couple of chairs for people to sit down like a little cafe. Last time I stood there, I was waiting to go in and see this. And they had to clean the theater out for the last screening. So I just stood there in the lobby and looked at the Spider Man poster and ate. And I was thinking about his story. And it's interesting what they've done. Because this time it seems like he's fighting Scorpion. He's going up against Scorpion, some ninjas, and the Hulk. And there has to be someone else. And I kept thinking, who does Spider-Man usually fight? Technically, this version of Spider-Man has dealt with the Vulture and then Mysterio. And now it's the Scorpion. But usually when you think about Spider-Man, it took me a while. I don't know. I must have brain fog. It took me a while, and I came up with Doc Ock. It it's weird. I found it a bit weird that they've made this is like his fifth movie or something, and he's ready to stop it. It seems like he's ready to stop. It is this about his fifth movie or something, if not more. And he hasn't been up against like directly Doctor Octopus. He hasn't been up against. I'm doing it again. I'm getting brain fog. Oh yeah, it was. I came up with the Green Goblin. Now, that was the last movie, which is unfair. It's so unfair. Because he had zero business dealing with that goblin. It's like a monster jumped out of a portal and just ruined his life. Uh, but for his universe, the style of story, the style of person that shows up in his universe, he hasn't dealt with a Dr. Octopus or a Green Goblin or a Kingpin or a Venom. The top four villains that you would expect that character to meet. It's so odd. I was staring there at the poster, and I know they were trying to be alternative and whatnot. They made really fun choices. But either they plan on making Spider-Man for a while, or they just wanted to be different. I don't know. Anyway, that's what's going to be interesting about this character. I didn't want to go into it because it's nerdy. But eventually she jumps to the future and rejects all of this. She's roaming around the galaxy, learning all the different species and what they like and whatnot. She's become knowledgeable about stuff other than Earth. Superman is glued to the Earth. He cares about. I'm not sure Superman knows about. I don't think he's as smart. I haven't thought about that. Like this scene, for example. Well, it just went by. But when she lands and is like, "Hi, cousin," he's already Superman working at the paper. He's got a college degree. But she understands the spaceship that flew across the galaxy. And he's trying to coach her. I never thought about that. He's trying to coach her, and she's just polite and and she doesn't say a word. It's like, I see you've ruined the crystal over there by tossing it in the ground. I never thought about that. So she picks what she already knows. Anyway, I'm gonna call it here. I talked a little bit. I talked a little bit more. I know exactly what to look at. It's a cleansing. In dealing with Ruthie, she gets. In dealing with Ruthie, she understands that she's more of a Ruthie and less of a Lobo. And eventually she has to make the leap to become Supergirl again. Because the whole time she could have just worn the suit. So what is that saying? I think it has something to do with that ship at the end. She was picking a life of mourning. Anyway, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna make another video. There's gonna be a part 4.